Speaker, the previous plenary, you promised to the Attorney General to come and explain on affairs of the delayed bills. And from your communication, you have confirmed and put emphasis on the same. Right, Honorable Speaker, we get confused at times where the law is not so clear on the movement of the bill after it has been passed from here to reach the President for sending. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'd like to introduce this House to Article number 99, Part 2. A bill passed by Parliament as soon as possible be presented to the President to assent. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to seek your clarity whether these bills passed by this House over delay to get transport in between the House to State House. And more so on the same matter, if it's such a case, I do seek your indulgence whether it is procedurally right to move by Article 91, subsection 7, that gives this House powers to pass any bill when time is passed off that is guaranteed for the President to assent.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Attorney General, I had actually forgotten. Attorney General had made a report, but I'm happy that you can make a report here on the action you've taken on the pending bills that have not been assented to. Attorney General, and you can also take this chance to lay on table the report and respond what concerns you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on the 9th and 10th of November, I represented the government and for the consideration of the second periodic report to the 75th session of the Committee Against Torture. I made a statement on the 9th, and on the 9th and on the 10th I appeared again and filed responses to the questions that were raised by the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, as you requested, I beg to lay the statement I made on the 9th and the responses that I made to the committee. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Attorney General. The documents are there, and we will subject them to scrutiny. Attorney General, on the bills.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on the bills, I beg to report that some of the bills that are bulky will take time because we sit through them with the clerk's office, try and prepare them. Some of them are sent to the President at different times. We have requested for a status of these and have been advised, aside from the markets bill, which markets bill was going through some further consultation, which should be done, the rest should be completed within the time provided for in the Constitution. And then fisheries was finished. Fisheries was handled, brought back, we handled it and sent it back, and it's being handled within that time. I beg to submit.
Yes. The fisheries bill was returned, and then we sent it back.
Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. Even though it's the case, the law is very clear, and we need to move a country in line with the law. Whether it's bulky or light, the law specifies certain days of assenting. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to get clarification from the Attorney General. I wasn't there during the formulation of this Constitution, and we are abiding by what is indicated in here. So what should we do in case the bill is bulky? The fisheries bill was passed in a week as we were going for recess, that is before 29. And it's now 30 days past. So what should be the guidance when the stakeholders are asking us a lot of questions over the same? Right Honorable Speaker, fishermen are being tortured and killed in this guise of enforcement, which enforcement is also illegally enforcing the bill. Right Honorable Speaker, it's a matter that needs to be clarified and handled well, because it touches the economy. This is not politics. We have even sued some officers and opened files against them, and officers are not arresting them. So what should we do? We need clarity.
All you need to find out is when is the bill coming back. It's not discussing the merits of the bill. I thought that's what we need to find out. Honorable
Clarification, Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Former Sports Minister,
It's a small one related to what is going to answer.
I thought you knew that you don't speak when the microphone is on.
Right Honorable Speaker, I will definitely come back to the House on Tuesday with the complete answers on everything. I am not aware of any bill that is outside the time, but I will come back on Tuesday with a report on this. Right Honorable Speaker, we discussed this extensively in Cabinet on Monday, and were given 30 days to finish all the bills.
Yes, there's an order.
Madam
Honorable Bakabulindi, you will speak after him.
Madam Speaker, the gentleman holding the floor is a lawyer. The Honorable
the gentleman is called Honorable...
The Attorney General.
Yes.
Is a distinguished lawyer. We passed the market bill in March. He now tells Parliament that as far as he is concerned, he is not aware that there is any bill that has gone beyond the constitutional deadline. Madam Speaker, is the Attorney General in order to mislead Parliament that he is ignorant about what takes place in Parliament, that when they pass laws he is not aware, or that he is ignorant of the Constitution, that a bill passed in March, it is now almost a year, and the principal legal advisor of government is not even aware that a law was passed by Parliament? Is he in order?
My presumption is that maybe you had forgotten it. But the market bill was passed in March. So you need to make a follow-up on that and give this House a response on Tuesday on all the bills.
Thanks very much, Right Honourable Speaker. There is something new I've just heard from the Attorney General, and I'm seeking clarification. You are saying, for instance, like a market bill, that you know some bills which are passed by Parliament, I need to sit down with the clerk, scrutinize, before we send them to the President. Right Honourable Speaker, I've never heard about it. If a bill is passed by Parliament, what is the answer going to say when you sit with the clerk, change some statements before you send it to the President? Is that cease to be our bill or not? I am just seeking clarification.
I am not sure whether any bill is changed before it goes to the President. Did he say he changes? Attorney General, did you say you always change?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I am absolutely certain I did not use the word change. I am absolutely certain I said that we sit and work with the clerk's office. Yes, because, Right Honourable Speaker, my office is the office of the Attorney General of the Republic of Uganda. I also provide that legal service to Parliament. And when the bill comes from this House and is sent to the President, the hand of the Attorney General is in there. I participated in the
Honourable
bill.
members, the President can never send a bill without coming from Parliament, and the advisor, the legal advisor of the country, is none other than KK. A procedure, but it does not make any changes.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I think we have previously had challenges with the time within which the president assents to the bills. And I wouldn't want to blame the Attorney General's office. It falls back to Parliament itself, particularly the clerk's office. I would propose, Madam Speaker, that possibly whenever we pass a bill and the bill is presented to the president, the clerk furnishes copies of evidence of presentation to all members of Parliament, so that the business of us waiting until the bill is either returned when it is late or whatever stops. So that once we have passed and we have gotten evidence of presentation to the president, those of us who have interest in particular bills can fast track and see whether we invoke the provision of the Constitution on passing the law with or without the assent of the president or not. I believe once that is done, we will not be raising issues on how far the bills have gone.
Shadow Attorney General, I cannot accept that a clerk's office should be blamed. When a bill is passed here, it does not even take 2 days for it to leave. And I have all the copies of received bills from the president's office. Now the problem is, when a bill goes to the president, they write a letter to a relevant ministry to respond to the issues that have been raised. It is actually those sectors that cause delays. And when we've been following up, they say we've not got a response. I think Attorney General is in agreement with me on this. We've not got a response from the ministries, and maybe what we need to do, Attorney General should really make a follow-up on this, and maybe remind the president on the constitutional obligation. This needs to be done. Let's not take it like it is something leisure that can be signed any time of the year. No, it has a constitutional provision of 30 days. Unless you want to bring up a constitutional amendment to that effect, because we cannot go against the Constitution. Let's have these bills brought back. If there is a problem with the bills, then we can recommit it back to the House. On, yes, a procedure matter here, then.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you.
And I hope it is not on what I've ruled.
No. I raised that here last time. He has answered. I will leave it to him. The House will deal with him at a later time. The procedural issue, Right Honourable Speaker, I seek to raise relates to the document that has been tabled by the learned Attorney General regarding his presentation in the UN. Right Honourable Speaker, you did guide that it will be scrutinized. I want to seek your indulgence whether it wouldn't be procedurally right to refer that document to the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, does the scrutiny, and will report back here, because it raises, according to what was quoted, it raises serious issues about the status of torture in this country. Right Honourable Speaker, I seek your guidance.
I said I am referring this for scrutiny to the relevant committee. Relevant committee. The clerk's office will determine which committee it will go to. I said relevant committee. Honourable members, is it still on my communication? Aren't you going? Order to who?
Madam.
Dan, can I hear what order? Whom you're ordering?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Is it in order for a member to come in the House with a cape?
He's putting on a traditional attire. Yes.
Madam. Right Honourable. Right Honourable Speaker, I seek your indulgence. I I seek your indulgence on the issue of bills, Right Honorable Speaker. The rules of procedure, 143.10, it states, where the President returns the same bill twice.
Honorable Ruhunda Alex of Fort Tourism City. We've already ruled on that. We've moved on to the next item.
Okay.
The Land Attorney General says he's coming back on Tuesday on the same matter. So let's start it over to Tuesday. Kasese, I hope it is not on torture.
No, Madam Chair, you've already ruled on that. Madam Chair, regarding your Madam Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, number 3. This is in regard to your communication, Madam Speaker. And your word in this country constitutionally is binding, and nobody under the earth or underneath the earth can question. Madam Speaker, Pakwach is cut off, and I think we should find every reason to help our fellow citizens have that fixed. I'm happy, Madam Speaker, that the Minister for Works, my elder brother, Honorable General Katumba Edward Wamala, is in the House. This is something that I have personally spoken to him. He's been in my community. I'm happy that my elder sister, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, is also here. They've been to my community, and this is 3 years, about 3 years ago, Madam Speaker. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, Madam Speaker, is that I have about 3 sub-counties or communities that are only brought together by a bridge. Madam Prime Minister, you remember. Mr. Minister, you also remember. Even today as I speak, Madam Speaker, the bridge is not there. 3 sub-counties cut off. People the other side keep on wondering whether they're still... Yes, Madam Commissioner.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right
Honorable members.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise up to give more information on the issue of Pakwach. This comes at a time when His Excellency, the President, is supposed to be in Zumbu District tomorrow for the coronation anniversary. Right Honorable Speaker, if the President were to use the road today, I am so sure he would never make it to Zumbu District. I'm saying this because I think we need to give particular attention to the roads in West Nile, especially in regards to the fact that we have talked and talked. I am grateful that we have another source of transport, that is air. Otherwise, my people would wait and the President would never arrive because of the state of the road. I am also hopeful that as he goes there tomorrow, we shall have some clear information from him regarding this issue. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Further information?
Yes.
Further information?
Thank you very much, Madam Commissioner. Madam Speaker, 3 years down the road, community cut off, churches, schools, health centers cut off completely. And Madam Speaker, UNRWA keeps telling us that they can't move equipment, construction equipment, to the other side because they have no bridge. So you have literally galleys and you wonder, Madam Speaker, how your fellow citizens in the mountainous communities make it to the Wera General Hospital. Is it true and is it possible, my fellow citizens, that we can't find money to get the bridge so that we have our citizens reconnected to back to the rest of the country? And Mr. Minister, the point that I've had with these distinguished fellow citizens, Madam Speaker, is that we don't have money. Finance, if you're here and they're not here, Madam Speaker, and our chair, please, will you direct that money before within our financial system and this bridge and other bridges in the country are really fixed? I appreciate you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Atkins, these are some of the things that were raised before. And that's why we have asked for an action that has been taken. And the ministers are going to present actions taken in their different ministries. So let's wait for the reports from different ministries. And if your issue has not been responded to, then you will raise it again when a particular minister is providing the actions taken in the next item.
Much obliged.
Thank
Madam
you.
Speaker.
Thank you. Next item.
Item 3.
Next item.
Madam Speaker.
Motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to special drawing rights 98.8 million, equivalent to US dollars 140 million, and secure a grant financing amounting to standard special drawing rights 42.4 million, equivalent to US dollars 60 million, from the International Development Association of the World Bank to finance the Uganda Digital Acceleration Project, UDAP, Government Network, GovNet.
Sorry, I've not seen the Minister of Works. I'm happy he's here. There's an issue that came out of my communication on the issue of Pakwach. Before we go to the next, we want to find out what is the short-term, medium, and long-term remedy on that road and others.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, yes, we have had a challenge on that sector of Pakwach Road. As I speak now, we have restored Pakwach Road. The vehicles are moving. But we also have an alternative route. If you can't use the Pakwach main or Rio Pakwach, then you can use the road through the park, because there's a bridge, and we have already discussed with Minister of Tourism. They will not charge for any vehicle passing through the park. So there's an alternative route for the people going to. But we are now looking at re-engineering that sector of the road for the permanent solution. But as of now, the vehicles are moving.
And then the Zombo Road?
The Zombo, I know about the Zombo Road. His Excellency the President has directed that we address that road. The challenge is still what my people yesterday, I think the COSASE team is here, and you heard what Yunla was telling you yesterday. It's lack of finance, lack of funds. Even some of the repairs would be doing, the responses would be doing now for emergencies. We had really, I saw the Honorable from Ntoroko crying about the road network there. The problem is not that we don't want to do the roads, but we don't have the money. I'll just be as blunt as that the money is not there as yet. If we get the release, we shall do the roads. Yesterday, UNRWA told the committee that we're in debt of we're in debt of 585 billion, which we owe the contractors who are supposed to be maintaining these roads. So the solution is here. We need the money, and then we shall be able to do the roads.
General, we'll need, please sit, we'll need a report on all the actions that are being taken on each road where there is no money. You cannot say you cannot blame him for money not being there, because he's not the one who provides money. He's only reporting. And those are the reports we shall need.
Yeah.
And then this House will take an action after he has made a report.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. You
Right
start-
Honorable, thank you
James-
very much. And Madam
I-
Speaker.
James, you started walking from there like you're looking after cows.
I'm Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance. I know, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Edward Katumba Wamala is a good servant of this country. Madam Speaker, I know is working under the delegation of the President. And Madam Speaker, when you talk of Zombo, I remember the declaration by the President in 2017 when he wrote letters telling the Minister of Works, Minister of Finance, and UNRWA to work on specific roads which are critical to this government. Madam Speaker, including the tourism roads. Now, those letters have since become redundant because if we are taking loans for other issues, if those letters became redundant, we also need to know what happened to those letters that the President wrote, giving those roads to specific companies for action. Two, if those letters are there and those companies are not have failed to work, can't we get concessional loans and we work on these roads? Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we are actually on the next item. We are on the next item. We are going to look at all those issues department by department. We approved the loan and we gave UNRWA money. So what is required is to make a follow-up. Money was given and UNRWA has the money. Honorable members, there is an item that has been read. Can I invite the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, being represented by Honorable Bahati, to move a motion to the effect.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I move a motion on behalf of government that Parliament authorizes government to borrow up to a special drawings rights 98.8 million, equivalent to US $140 million, and secure grant financing amounting to SDR 42.4 million, which is equivalent to $60 million US, from the International Development Association, IDA, of the World Bank to finance the Uganda Digital Acceleration Project, Government of Uganda network. I beg to move.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Honorable Ibanda, Honorable Frank Tumweva Seko Makech, Acrobat, Queen, Solomon, Isa Vire, Dan, Elders, by the whole House. Would you love to speak to your motion?
Madam Speaker,
Honorable member, some silence.
the objective of this motion is to establish
Procedural matter.
Madam Speaker, thank you very
Honorable
much.
members, it is free sitting. Free sitting.
Madam Speaker, you know, my friend, the
There is
Honorable
a proc-
Bahati.
There is a procedural matter on
Thank
me.
you very much. Madam Speaker, I know my friend, the Honorable Bahati, I know his appetite for borrowing. But there are ministers who are assigned to superintend on the sector of finance. And I don't know the reason why the Honorable Bahati was removed. The procedural issue I am raising, because Madam Speaker, you did not tell us that they have asked you for permission or he has been now designated, is whether the former minister for borrowing, the Honorable Bahati, Madam Speaker, whether we are proceeding well to have a former minister of borrowing again tabling motions for borrowing, even when he has been moved away from that sector.
Honorable Member, any of the ministers on the front bench can be assigned to move a motion. I got an apology from the senior minister, Honorable Kasaija, and the junior ministers. They're in a workshop, and the Prime Minister is here. She's the leader of all the ministers. She's the one who has delegated Honorable Bahati. But I have never seen Honorable Bahati borrow for himself. He does not borrow money for himself. And he is not the minister of borrowing. We don't have a ministry in the name of Ministry for Borrowing. Honorable Bahati, go ahead.
Thank you. The Honorable Semju missed the sitting yesterday where we agreed that as members of parliament we should respect each other, so we have to forgive him. The object
You're
of
forgiven.
Yes. The object of this loan is to establish a national backbone infrastructure in major towns of Uganda where the backbone has not reached, to connect all government ministries in a single wide area network, to establish a government data center, establish district information center, and support the efforts of government in establishing and consolidating e-government, and also establish district information centers where they have not been. Madam Speaker, the Committee of National Economy has looked at this loan and is ready to report to this House. I beg to move.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I will now invite the chairperson of the Committee on National Economy to present the report, a brief report.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I report on the behalf of the Committee on National Economy on the proposal by government to borrow up to special drawing rights 98.8 million, equivalent to 140 million US dollars, and secure a grant financing amounting to 42.4 special drawing rights, equivalent to 60 million US dollars from the International Development Association of the World Bank to finance the Uganda Digital Acceleration Project, Government Network, GovNet. Madam Speaker, before I present the report, I beg to lay the report of the committee and the minutes of the committee while considering the loan. Madam Speaker, there is no minority report. I beg to lay.
Thank you. Please lay.
Right Honorable Speaker, at the first sitting of the second meeting of the second session of the 11th Parliament on the 1st of November 2022, the Minister of Finance presented a request for government to borrow up to special drawing rights 98.8 million, equivalent to US dollars 140 million, and secure a grant financing amounting to special drawing rights 42.4 million, equivalent to 60 million US dollars from the International Development Association of the World Bank. Right Honorable Speaker, this is in line with the provisions of our Constitution, Article 159, that provides that government may borrow from any source, and the terms and the conditions shall be laid before Parliament and shall not come into operation unless they have been approved by a resolution of Parliament. Right Honourable Speaker, Section 36 of the Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended authorizes the minister to raise money through loans and issue guarantees on behalf of government. Right Honourable Speaker, our Public Debt Management Framework 2018 outlines the principles for acquisition and utilization of public debt for the financial years 2018, 2019, up to 2022, 2023. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to give this House a brief background about the project. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, we are all aware that Government of Uganda embraced ICT as one of the tools to spur socio-economic transformation of our country, and in 2006, the government embarked on the National Backbone Infrastructure, Electronic Government Infrastructure Project with the two components. That was the National Backbone Infrastructure that comprised of laying of the optic fiber in the major towns. Right Honourable Speaker, the project had two components and it had its own objectives, and the four key objectives were establishing the national backbone infrastructure, connecting all ministries to a single wide area network, establishing the government data center, and establishing the district information centers. The envisaged output then, Right Honourable and Honourable colleagues, was that all government ministries shall be connected, the e-government shall be implemented, and the optic fiber cables shall be laid across the country, and the district information centers shall be established. In 2010, Right Honourable, with the enactment of the NITA-U Act of 2009, NITA-U took over the oversight responsibility for the national backbone infrastructure to promote standardization in planning, acquisition, and maintenance of the ICT system in the country. Right Honourable Speaker, in 2016,
yes, President Mata.
Madam Speaker, I want to draw your attention and the attention of the House Madam Speaker, I want to draw your attention and the attention of Parliament to Rule 155. 155(7) sets out documents that are supposed to accompany a loan request for Parliament to process. Madam Speaker, these documents, or some of the documents, have not been presented by the minister assigned. But also the Constitution requires that terms of the loans are supposed to be, in fact, Parliament is supposed to look at them when they have been cleared by the Attorney General. I am aware, Madam Speaker, the Attorney General has not cleared and reviewed this particular loan request. And all these are supposed to be read, because the only proof that he has done so is by evidence of his letter that and read together with the request. That these particular terms I went through and they are okay. They were never read here. Also, impact assessment is not there. The procedure issue I am raising, Madam Speaker, is whether this Parliament can also quietly begin processing a loan, knowing that the statutory requirements set out in our rules and also the constitutional obligation have not been met, especially on loans that are project related.
Thank you, Honorable Semuju. Honorable Semuju, what you're raising is in anticipation. You've not had the chairperson. When you look at the review of documents 3.2, it tells you all the documents that the committee received, and these documents are supposed to be laid to the committee, and the committee has not told you that they did not receive any document. And secondly, you've not looked at the file that is being laid. You're just speaking in anticipation. The chair is, the motion that has been brought here is seeking to borrow. And by the time the committee approves or makes a report without even a minority report, that means they were satisfied with whatever was provided for in the committee. Chair, can you go ahead? When you look at 3.2 on review of documents, it will give you all of that. Attorney General, did you give authorization to borrow? Did you clear? It was presented in the committee, it was cleared. Can we hear the report? Then you will debate the report. Let's hear the report.
Right Honorable Speaker, I would also refer my colleague, Honorable Semuju Nganda, to table 1 to show that the committee looked at all the documents that were required as per.
Actually, when you even look at 4.1 on the compliance with the rules of procedure of Parliament, look at that. He's going to lay them. You wait if he's not going to lay. You want him to lay on your head.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, I would want to lay before this House the reports that the documents that this committee reviewed while preparing the report for the Committee on National Economy for the House to approve the borrowing that was presented by the Minister of Finance. I beg.
Honorable members, the person that I will want to hear from, that I will trust
Right
what he
Honorable
says,
Speaker.
the person that I will want to hear from, and I will trust what he says, is the Honorable Hassan. He's a member of the committee, and I know he doesn't lie.
Right, Right Honorable Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, we have a brief from the Minister. We also have the letter from the President clearing the loan. We have the letter from National Planning Authority. The social impact assessment report for the project. Right Honorable Speaker, we have all the documents here. I beg to lay.
Please lay.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the chair has just thrown a file there. There is no clearance from the Attorney General. I have speak as a whip of a political party. I assigned people to a committee.
Attorney General is here.
Yes. There is no impact assessment that the committee has looked at.
Now, the members you put in the committee, why didn't they write a minority report? Why didn't they write a minority report?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
I want to clear this, that the bill was in the committee irregularly. This bill came to the House, the loan request came to the House while we in recess. Administratively, we referred it to the committee. And I sought permission from the business committee, where Honorable Semuju is a voter and he participated and he's the one even who seconded it in that committee. Now, and when I hear Honorable Semuju saying it was illegal, now we came and formalized in the House. We now referred the loan to the committee. And that's why the loan request, that's why the committee is coming up with a report. And this borrowing is justifiable. It is not like any other borrowing that you would think of. It is justifiable.
Right Honorable Speaker, I was giving the background to the National Backbone Infrastructure Project. Right Honorable Speaker, initially this project was financed under the Exim Bank, and I read out the four
Honorable members, that I'm told Attorney General, I think this side just likes Attorney General. Attorney General, can you just...
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this loan comes here under the provisions of Article 159.5, which provides Parliament may by resolution authorize government to enter into an agreement for giving of a loan or a grant out of the public fund. An agreement under this shall not come into force until it is laid before Parliament. So we'll come back. Yes, so before we even start the conversation about borrowing, we must get the authority of Parliament. So once we get the authority of Parliament, then we come back to deal with the agreement. So we shall come back to deal with the agreement under 159.6.
Honorable Kojo. By the way, getting a loan is not as easy as the way you get money on your accounts. It is a process. It is not like how you live here and you see a message that there is a salary on your account. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Can you summarize?
Right Honorable Speaker,
we have
I was giving the background to the loan. Right Honorable Speaker, let me straight away move to the methodology, and probably my other colleagues will get satisfied that the committee considered a number of documents. Right Honorable Speaker, one of the methodologies that the committee used was meetings. The committee met with the team from Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. We had a meeting with the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, and we had a meeting with the National Information Technology Authority, NITAU. The committee also reviewed a number of documents, the documents that have just laid before the House. And we looked at a number of documents. We looked at the brief by the minister. We looked at the performance of the previous loans in reference to Rules of Procedure 155, Sub-Rule 7. Right Honorable Speaker, I'd also want to take the House on the compliance of the loan request with the Rules of Procedure and the loan approval guidelines. Right Honorable Speaker, the members are with the iPad, and I believe that the report was uploaded, and they have table one of our report actually clearly stipulates the compliance with the Rule 155, Sub-Rule 7 of the Rules of Procedure, and Table 2 deals with the compliance with the parliamentary approval guidelines. Right Honorable Speaker, since you're telling me to do the summary, I would implore members that they would read through the table. Right Honorable Speaker, the project is in line with the National Development Plan 3, which recognizes the promotion of science, technology, engineering, and innovation, as well as ICT as one of the core objectives. Specifically, Right Honorable, the Digital Transformation Program under the National Development Plan 3 identifies ICT as a fulcrum for the development and has a huge potential to improve our national productivity. The project will contribute to the achievements of the National Development Plan 3, specifically by increasing the ICT infrastructure coverage, improve on the efficiency and transparency of government, and the project is in line with our Vision 2040. The performance of the previous loans. Right, Honorable Speaker, the rules of procedure mandate the Committee on National Economy to examine the performance of all loans under the sector in order to assess the viability of the new loan and recommend it for approval. Right, Honorable, by the end of October this year, all the loans under the ICT sector had been completed. In phase 1, that was in 2007 to 8, there was a loan of $30 million US, and that loan was used for laying 168 kilometers of fiber optic cable around Kampala, Mukono, Jinja, Bombo, Entebbe, and also connecting 27 ministries, departments, and agencies. In 2009 to 2013, there was a borrowing of 61 million, and 1,400 kilometers of optic fiber cable were laid, and the national backbone infrastructure was extended to districts in eastern, northern Uganda, and some parts of western Uganda. Right, Honorable Speaker, in 2016-2017, another loan of $15 million US was borrowed, and 76 kilometers of fiber optic cables were extended to the rest of the western part of the country. Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to draw members specifically to the project description of the current UDAP loan. Specifically, Right, Honorable Speaker, government intends to extend access to high-speed internet in selected areas. Government also intends to improve efficiency in digital service delivery in selected public sector, and also strengthen the digital inclusion of selected host communities and refugees in the refugee connection, refugee hosting communities. Right, Honorable Speaker, this project has 4 components. The first component is the expansion of the digital connectivity in selected areas that will cost approximately $86 million US, and enabling the digital transformation of government that will cost about $50 million US, and promotion of the digital inclusion of the host communities that will cost about $57 million US under the refugee window. And the fourth component is the project management that will take about $7 million US out of the project cost. There's a table 5 describes all that. Table 6 explains the expected project outcomes. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is in line with the 4 components, and also we have the indicators, the baseline, and the expected target, the end target. Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the project cost and financing arrangement, the total cost of the project is about $200 million US. The project will be financed through IDA, World Bank, with a loan component of 70% will be loan component, and 30% will be a grant under the refugee sub-window of the World Bank. The costs are stipulated. Right, Honorable Speaker, allow me go to the loan terms and conditions. Right, Honorable Speaker, the total loan is about special drawing rights, $98.8 million US, equivalent to 140. The maturity period is 38 years, with a grace period of 6 years. Repayment period shall be 32 years. The loan attracts a commitment fee of 0.5% per annum on the undisbursed loan balance, and a surcharge of 0.75% per annum on the disbursed loan balance. the conditions of the loan. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleague, the loan has the following terms and conditions. There should be an approval by Parliament that the ministry is seeking currently, issuance of the legal opinion of the Attorney General of Uganda on the legal validity of the loan documents to the bank. The other condition is that IDA is satisfied that government has an adequate refugee protection framework. Right Honorable Speaker, the other condition is that the subsidiary agreement has been executed on behalf of the government and the project implementing entity, which is NITAU, and the project operations manual as referred in section 1C of the schedule 2 of the agreement has been prepared and adopted by government and the project implementing entity in the form and substance accepted by the IDA. In addition, there are conditions for suspension of the financing, which include, among others, 1, the recipient no longer has an adequate refugee framework. 2, the project implementing entity's legislation has been amended, suspended, abrogated, repealed, or waived so as to affect materiality and adversely the ability of the project implementing entity to perform any of its obligations under the agreement. The project implementing entity has failed to perform any of its obligation under the project agreement. That is in reference to conditions in reference to suspension of the project. Right Honorable Speaker, Uganda is one of the countries that is a signatory to the 1951 Refugee Convention, the 1969 Protocol, and the 1967 Protocol, and the 1969 Organization of African Unity Convention. So Uganda is in line with the requirement by the IDA. Right Honorable Speaker, the concessionality of this loan. The level of concessionality is an indicator of how expensive a loan is. The higher the concessionality as measured by the grant element, the more favorable the loan terms. Concessional loans are cheaper in terms of debt service when compared to non-concessional loans. And I want to allude to the House that this loan is a concessional loan. Right Honorable Speaker, the loan was subjected, our technical team subjected it to an evaluation. The nominal value of the loan, is special drawing rights 98.8 million. When subjected to 5%, when discounted at 5%, it comes to 45.43 million US dollars, which is equivalent to 64.37 million US dollars. The total debt service of the loan shall be special drawing rights 115.1 million, equivalent to 163 million US dollars. The grant element is 67% of the loan. The budgetary implications. Right Honorable Speaker, this loan forms part of the government's approved budget estimates for the financial year 2022-2023 under the project code 1615. Government of Uganda, Government Network or GovNet project, which had a total allocation of 8.1 million, 8.15 billion, of which 4.46 billion was under Government of Uganda, and 3.69 will be the first disbursement out of this external funding. Economic returns of the loan, of the project. The economic benefits from the proposed investment are significant, given the economic net present value of the project estimated at 413 billion Uganda shillings, with an economic internal rate of return of 16.5%. The project's economic rate of return is above the economic opportunity cost of the capital in Uganda, which is placed at 11%. Right Honorable Speaker, the implementation arrangement of the project shall have a project steering committee. The project steering committee, the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance will be responsible for providing strategic guidelines and overseeing the implementation of the project. The project steering committee shall be chaired by the PS Minister of ICT and comprise of permanent secretaries for Minister of Finance, OPM, local government, and Executive Director of NITAU and PPDA. The current debt situation of the country. Right Honorable Speaker and Honorable colleagues, by the end of June 2022, our total public debt stood at 78.799 trillion. Our total public debt, by the end of June, mark the dates, by the end of June 2022, our total public debt stood at 78.799 trillion Uganda shillings, and it increased by 13% from 69.513 trillion in the year by the end of June 2021. The debt stock constitutes 48 trillion Uganda shillings is from external debt, and 30.6 is from our domestic borrowings. The share of domestic debt, the share of debt to our GDP, nominal debt to GDP, increased from 46.9% in June 2021 to 48.4% in June 2022, performing within the thresholds of our Charter of Fiscal Responsibility that was laid before this House. Right Honorable Speaker, according to Bank of Uganda, public debt had increased from Uganda shillings 80.04 trillion by the end of July 2022, translating to debt to GDP ratio of 49.2%. The approval of the proposed borrowing equivalent to $40 million will increase the debt, our external debt pressure, from 17.8 billion at the end of June 2022 to 18.34 billion US dollars, including the recently approved budget support loan. In addition, if implemented this financial year, the proposed borrowing alone will increase the debt to GDP ratio in 2022-2023 by slightly more than 0.05%, thus increasing the nominal share of the debt to GDP projected to perform at 51.9% in the financial year 22-23. But public debt will remain within the sustainable levels, as the UDAP project forms part of the debt sustainability analysis on the debt and the indicators that debt will be sustainable. I want to draw the House to the committee observations and recommendations. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee observed and made recommendations that were derived from the various documents, from a rigorous scrutiny of the loan and the loan documents to inform effective implementation of the new project, that is the UDAP project. Conditions of the loan financing agreement. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee looked at the conditions. The committee noted with concern the conditions for the suspension of the finance from IDA of the World Bank, which includes when the recipient no longer has adequate refugee financing framework, the project implementing entity legislation has been amended, suspended, abrogated, repealed, or waived so as to affect the materiality and adversely affect the ability of the project implementing entity to perform any of its obligations under the agreement. The project implementing entity has failed to perform any of the following. The committee is cognizant of the discussions of cabinet on the 22nd of February 2021, where it approved the recommendations for the rationalization of agencies, commissions, and statutory authorities with the objective of eliminating structural and functional duplications, overlap, and wasteful expenditure. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee was concerned that merging NITA-U would imply repealing NITA-U Act, which consequently would lead to the suspension of the credit facility by the World Bank. The committee therefore recommends that government should take cognizance of the condition stipulated in the financing agreement where NITA-U is the project implementing entity, and the committee recommends that NITA-U should be retained in its autonomy during the implementation cycle of the project. 2, for the timely implementation of the project, government carefully undertakes the rationalization process in a manner that will not compromise the provisions of the financing agreements. To avoid doubt, the Attorney General should ensure that the final text of the financing agreement is clear so that the effect of mainstreaming NITA-U into the ministry without causing any loss to government. The committee the second observation was commercialization of the National Backbone Infrastructure project. Government set out to invest in the national backbone infrastructure to cater for laying of optic fiber to ensure that the high brand width data connection is available to all major towns in Uganda at a reasonable rate. To establish electronic government infrastructure aimed at reducing the cost of doing business in government and increasing efficiency. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee recognized that commercialization to generate revenue for government. The committee observed that Solton Telmec Limited was contracted to manage the commercialization of the national backbone infrastructure and has been doing it to date. The committee was informed that the revenue generated from the national backbone infrastructure is shared between Solton Telmec and the government of Uganda as per the provisions of the contract. At the time the contract was awarded, NITA-U did not have the capacity to manage the commercialization of this infrastructure. The committee was informed that NITA-U has since developed sufficient capacity to manage the commercialization of the infrastructure. The committee recommends that NITA-U gradually phases out the contractual management of the project and uses the internally generated capacity it has built over time to manage the commercialization. This will reduce the cost of implementation, and also money spent on the contract would be availed to extend connectivity to unserved areas. The contract between NITA-U and Solton Telmec be reviewed by NITA-U to gradually take on the commercialization of the backbone infrastructure. Accessibility and affordability of internet. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, internet penetration in the country has improved from 16% in 2016 to 51% as of September 2021. Although the cost of internet has been, although the cost of internet bandwidth has come down from 97 US dollars per minute, per month, per megabyte, per second. In 2016 to $70 per month, per byte, per second in 2016. And in September 2022, negotiations are being made to bring the bandwidth cost to $35 per month, per byte, per second. The utilization of the backbone infrastructure remains at less than 30% of its full capacity. The committee noted that the cost of internet world would be cheaper with the utilization of the backbone infrastructure, since the increased number of users would share the cost. The recommendation. The committee recommends that government provides targeted free Wi-Fi spots and internet connections to institutions of learning and sub-counties and sub-county headquarters in order to step up the utilization rate of the national backbone infrastructure. The committee government should establish a policy that will continuously attract investment, competition among private sector players, operators, and providers to drive down the cost of internet to the final consumer. Expansion of the digital infrastructure in the country. Honorable members, government has to date invested over $175 million in the national backbone infrastructure. I would run to the committee recommendation. The committee recommends that the digital infrastructure proposed under this project is rolled out to only unserved communities, and to avoid any duplication, this financing should only be used to the extent necessary to reach to areas where it is considered that private sector would not go without an additional incentive from government to invest in close infrastructure gaps, to close the infrastructure gaps and the unserved and underserved areas. On the low uptake of digital services, the committee recommends that the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance collaborates with other MDAs, such as that of education, to build the capacity and the skills of the population to enable them use these services. In addition, it should liaise with the Ministry of Trade and Ministry of Finance to lower the end user cost of mobile phones and other gadgets. The project prioritizes less served communities that are considered commercially unviable by the private sector and bridge the geographical divide. On the stakeholder coordination risk, the committee recommends that NITA-U and the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance should ensure the needs and expectations of each stakeholders are considered for a smooth implementation of this project. Further, given the various activities supported under the project, stakeholders must be well aligned to the coordination efforts. Sustainability of the project. The committee recommends that government of Uganda should The committee recommends that government of Uganda should adopt policies that will attract private sector participation in the broadband and infrastructure sharing via open access rules. Such a policy would allow private sector providers to utilize the excess capacity on the government-owned national backbone infrastructure to offer value-add services, especially in the remote and commercially unviable areas. In conclusion, Right Honorable, in the light of the above observations, the committee therefore recommends that the request for government to borrow up to special drawing rights 98.8 million $98.8 million, equivalent to $140 million US dollars, and securing a grant financing amount amounting to special drawing rights 42.4 million, equivalent to 60 million US dollars from the International Development Association of the World Bank to finance the Uganda Digital Acceleration Project government network be approved subject to the above recommendations. I beg to move.
Thank you. Thank you. Proceed on what?
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. Honorable Speaker, sorry. I raise a procedural matter under Rule 155, subsection 7, Part K of our Rules of Procedure. Right Honorable Speaker, borrowing is inevitable given specific objectives. And Uganda has borrowed a lot of money, but being diverted into other use, not servicing the actual interest. I'm happy that the documents laid by the chairperson, maybe they are in line with the rules, but specifically, the report on the performance of the past loans is missing into the documents laid. And this is where we are getting a mess, where we borrow money and we don't evaluate the previous loans, hence risking Ugandans to a lot of risks and suffocating the burden of payments. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Honorable Tebandike Charles, the Committee of National Economy annually presents a report on the status of the loans of the country, so that is being catered for. But I'm very happy that you're reading the rules these days. Honorable Minister, do you have anything to say from the report? Thank you so much, Chair, National Economy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, the honorable members. I want to appreciate the chair of the committee and the honorable members who have worked day and night to process expeditiously this loan request. This loan request, or this loan, is intended, like the chair explained, to expand the digital infrastructure in the rest of the country so that we can attain connectivity in our constituencies and in our communities, and also to work on e-services within the government, to automate government services, as well as handle connectivity in the refugee areas and refugee hosting communities. So in summary, that's what this loan request is about. And the implementing agency shall be NITA-U, because NITA-U is still our agency as a government. So I just want to appeal to the honorable members that this is a loan request that is addressing issues of digitization in this country, and there is a digital revolution where we are transiting from manual processes, from analog to digital. And therefore, if we are looking at transforming this country, we have to go digital, and that's what this loan request is all about. So I appeal to members to support, and once again I want to thank them. We had very meaningful discussions with the committee. We spent a lot of time exchanging and sharing the details of this, and I want to thank the committee that there is even no minority report because we provided sufficient information from NITAU and the Ministry of ICT and Finance, and I want to thank the committee.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, since NITAU is the implementing body and is an MD on its own, why doesn't it take a role on the project implementation? I mean the project steering committee. Project steering committee, to avoid the bureaucracy that you have to go through the ministry, and yet it is a body on its own, it has its own vote.
No, the Ministry of ICT that I head as a minister is in charge of digital transformation in this country. By the way ministries are organized, we have agencies which fall under these ministries, and we have a duty to provide leadership and oversight over agencies. So the way the loan was structured is that the ministry will have that supervisory role, but the actual implementation will be done by NITAU. Among the structures, just hold on, among the structures there is a technical committee where the ministry will be in charge, but it links with the other ministries like the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Finance, and there the ministry does that coordination, but the implementation is done by NITAU. So there should be there is no contradiction at all.
Can we hear from Hassan? Hassan?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Committee on National Economy, which I am a member, completed the processing of this loan to borrow an equivalent of 140 million US dollars. And the sugar coating was a grant of 60 million US dollars. Now, whereas together with some members had preliminary objections on this loan, including that the Minister of ICT and National Guidance failing to rule out the mainstreaming of the project implementing entity, NITAU, the overall purpose of this loan, duplication and uncoordinated investments in fiber optics, where private sector has also widely rolled out similar infrastructure, and finally, the redundancy of the current national backbone infrastructure with less than 10% of the capacity in active use. Now, whereas we elected not to object, and I want to be very clear on this, we elected not to object this loan from the main report of the committee after harmonizing and coming up or recovering the gaps we had discussed. But I'm just I'm actually disappointed to see what the main report offered today. Right Honorable Speaker, the Minister of ICT and National Guidance informed the committee that government intends to make a position
Yeah, why don't we people leave Hassan to finish, then you bring procedure?
Madam Speaker, our rules don't allow members of a committee to debate their own report.
No, he is making a correction of what was agreed in the committee vis-a-vis what has been read.
But also, Madam Speaker, two other rules. If a member of the committee raises issues of authenticity of the report, then the report under our rule is supposed to be subjected to investigation. Two, in our rules, if he has disagreement with the main report, he must write a minority report.
He is not raising on issues of authenticity, it is on content. It is just a simple thing, NITAU and Minister of ICT.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Now, the Minister of ICT and National Guidance informed the committee that government intends to make a position on the status of NITAU and other agencies. aware that the financing agreement of this particular loan is expressed on the implementing entity being NITAU, also aware that the entity was created by an act of parliament, further aware that this house is bound not to legislate in anticipation of what government intends to bring to this house, now therefore request my honorable colleagues to approve this loan on condition that it is resolved by this house not to amend or repeal the National Information and Technology Authority.
Yeah, we are together there.
Right Honorable Speaker,
There we are together.
I want to make a simple prayer in my conclusion here for avoidance of doubt and to set the record very straight. I pray to move under Rule 59, Right Honorable Speaker, that this Parliament passes a resolution to compel government to ensure that NITAU remains the implementing authority or agency for the entire duration of this loan, as per the financing agreement. I beg to submit. Right Honorable.
Thank you so much, and he raises a very pertinent issue on rationalization. Shadow Hajat.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, we must legislate with clarity, and our intention cannot be obscured in ambiguity. When you read 12:1 and 12:2, 12:1 establishes the project steering committee, and 12:2 details the composition. But when you read 12:3, it also talks about project implementation entity. Now you can't have a project steering committee and you have a project implementation entity. Then when you go to 4, it establishes a project management. Right Honorable Speaker, for us to clean up this ambiguity, because let's be clear, the PS the other day of this ministry wanted literally to take away the vote of NITAU.
Not wanted, it took away because you put it in writing.
He took away vote of NITAU illegally. We only arrested it here in Parliament. Therefore, I see the same PS now chairing the steering committee. For us to clean up and leave this ministry without doubt of our intention, I propose to amend his motion and move to delete 12:1 and 12:2.
And then?
And then we leave the project implementation unit, which is NITAU, and which shall have the project management, in order to avoid the ambiguity and interference of a PS, the eating of the loan.
And then you put a motion?
Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, I put a motion. I want to amend.
No, I'm saying after it is deleted, then we can put a question?
No problem, Right Honorable Speaker.
Okay.
No problem.
No, yes.
We move, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members.
I move that 12:1 and 12:2 be deleted.
Honorable members, there is an issue of ambiguity. And we are saying this loan is going to NITAU. NITAU is a body of its own, though it is managed by ICT, but is on its own. And because of what happened, the documents that were laid on table here, how somebody wanted to smuggle in and take away the vote. That's why members are concerned. That won't this loan be like the one of REA, where we approved the loan, and then at the end of the day, the REA was closed and the loan went to ICT. So that's what the members want clarity.
Right Honorable Speaker, can I clarify a few
No, the
issues?
minister is clarifying.
a few issues. One, the other day that issue of the letter of the permanent secretary came here, and when I went back, I found that the permanent secretary, Minister of Finance, had written in the budget circular call saying permanent secretaries should plan and budget in the context of the rationalization process going on. I think it was in that spirit that the PS of ICT had written that letter, which has since been withdrawn after clarification.
There's a procedure matter.
Now,
there's a procedure matter this side.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, according to our rules, once a motion has been moved, it must be seconded and cleared before any other matter. Madam Speaker, are we moving procedure well? That in the middle of a motion which was not concluded, the Honorable Minister comes to interfere?
No, I needed a clarification on that motion before I put a question for secondment. I mean, I should give him freedom to respond. Yes.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I heard clearly what the Shadow Minister of Finance was trying to talk about, different sections that has to be deleted so that we can accommodate the management of this loan and be well. But in the report, there were other loans that were borrowed before, and those loans also had management committee for it. What different activities are we building on this loan that need a new management structure to manage it? What are those different activities? Can we bring to know other loans if there is a relationship now that it is NETAU that we want it to manage? We had other loans with NETAU. What is those different activities?
Honorable
Maybe
members,
you have to clarify also.
We are not going to subject this loan in too much debate. It's a clear loan. What is in contention is the issue of of management. First of all, the House needs clarity on the institutional framework for implementation of this project. That is number one. Number two, NETAU is the lead implementing agency. And the domicile of this project is in NETAU. The money will go to the vote of NETAU, not to the ministry. Those are things we need to clarify.
Madam.
And that is the position.
Madam.
Yes, I want to hear from the...
Madam, before the minister.
Yes.
Madam, it is very clear that this is not the first loan NETAU has received. I have witnessed the implementation of what NETAU has done in the country, and they have been one of the government agencies which have been very effective. Madam Speaker, to see that there are 2 layers added on this loan, this is the beginning of the failure of implementation of this loan, given the government red tape and bureaucracy that happens when it comes to making decisions in how to effectively utilize the monies. So, Madam Speaker, I am of the view that we second the motion, and we as Parliament who have witnessed the mismanagement of loans from other government ministries, I'm of the view we move the motion. I second the motion that we delete the 2 bureaucratic steps before this loan is utilized. Let it go direct to NETAU, which has its management structure, it has the board, all what it takes to get this loan effectively managed.
Honorable members, is the motion seconded? Yes. By... I can see Byanyima, Amongi, Richard, Moma. Honorable members, I now put a question. Honorable members, the ayes have it. Honorable members, I now put a question that the House approves a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to special drawing rights 98.8 million, equivalent of USD 140 million, and secure a grant funding amounting to SDR 42.4 million, equivalent to USD 60 million, from International Development Association, IDA of the World Bank, to finance Uganda Digital Acceleration Project, Government Network, those and with amendment of deletion of 12.1 and 2. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it. Next item. Thank you so much.
Item 5. Item 4. Presentation of the action taken report on resolutions of the 11th Parliament.
There is a procedure matter.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, you have driven us on a very high speed on this matter.
That was by the leader of opposition.
But it is my humble request, Right Honourable Speaker, that the Committee of ICT comes back here with a detailed report on how the national backbone is performing, the NBI clear, so that we have a discussion on it, Right Honourable Speaker. We spent a lot of money on the NBI.
Honourable Member.
Expecting.
Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker, let me conclude this.
Honourable Patrick, we have already asked them, actually because you've been away, they are supposed to come back and report. They are supposed to report, but welcome back. He has been away, and that is what happened. While you are away, ICT is supposed to give us a report under the Committee of ICT. Thank you. Next item.
Item 4, presentation of the action taken report on resolutions of the 11th Parliament, May 2021 to May 2022.
Honourable Members, Rule 2020 of the Rules of Procedure stipulates that the Minister shall submit to Parliament an action taken report detailing what actions have been taken by relevant ministries following the resolutions, the recommendations of this Parliament. Since the beginning of 11th Parliament, we have received a lot of many motions, petitions, reports, and we've never received any action taken on the resolutions, on recommendations that have been made by this House. In the first session, that is of 11th Parliament, this House passed 23 bills, passed 71 resolutions, adopted 31 reports, had 64 urgent questions, and received 68 ministerial statements. We are duty bound as a Parliament of Uganda to ascertain the status of the implementation of the decisions that this House arrives at. And that's why today we gazetted this afternoon for us to have or receive the reports from the different ministries in regards to the reports, resolutions, the recommendations, and now we want the actions taken. And I therefore ask the leader of government business to lead us through.
Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, I want you to take a note of a letter I wrote to you, dated yesterday. We have compiled all the reports from all ministries. As a government, we wanted to go through these reports together with the head of state in cabinet, so that we give you a concrete report of what we have taken, or of what actions we have taken. Madam Speaker, I beg that you give us time. We shall bring these reports and put them on the floor. And in line with Article 117 of our Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I beg to submit.
There is a procedure.
Right Honourable Speaker, the rule you've read about action points, Rule 2020, is not in tandem with the response of the Prime Minister. Right Honourable Speaker, we've been on this floor. Each time a resolution is made, a report is presented, action is promised by the government, whoever is at the front bench. They usually actually undertake to report. They even give themselves timelines, which they never fulfill. Right Honourable Speaker, are we proceeding well if we concede to the request by the Right Honourable Prime Minister that we wait and a full report comes regarding the various action points that we demand, and yet some, if we don't move very fast, will be overtaken by events? Shall we be proceeding well, Right Honourable Speaker?
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, it's not quite often that we have the number of ministers like we have today. There are very many. At least the front bench is almost full. And we need to thank them for coming today. Madam Speaker, Rule 2020 does not require the Prime Minister to come and present. It requires the relevant ministry. The minister are here. The ministers are here. Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I think this is one of the things we must be serious about. We ran out through almost the entire 10th Parliament without this report on what government has responded on the key issues. So, Right Honourable Speaker, are we proceeding well if the Prime Minister comes here and wants to go coach the ministers on how to respond, what to tell Parliament when the ministers are here? Right Honourable Speaker, are we proceeding well?
Honourable members, when you look at Article 117 that the Prime Minister is talking about, that ministers shall individually be accountable to the President for the administration of their ministries. That is to the President. What is your role? So don't we need you in Parliament? We need you in Parliament. You are accountable to Parliament. For the people of Uganda, you're supposed to, you made commitments in this House, will report back on the actions being taken. You are accountable to the country. Yes, Minister, are you reporting on your ministry? Is it on action taken?
Right Honourable Speaker.
You know, even when you're a seasoned lawyer, it's not about being a seasoned lawyer, like the Prime Minister is saying. It's not about being a seasoned lawyer. For us, we want actions taken on the reports that we made in this House.
I wanted...
Whether the members of Parliament here are lawyers or not, we want action for the good of our people.
Right Honorable Speaker, I wanted to give information to Honorable Patrick that a minister envisaged under Rule 220 includes the Prime Minister or Deputy Prime Minister under Section 2, under Rule 2 of the interpretation.
Okay, can you give us the actions taken in your ministry?
When the government protocol where the Prime Minister sought for, she speaks for us all. She's our team leader.
Honorable members. Yes, Solomon. Honorable members, let's be fair to each other. We need these actions.
Right.
The actions taken on whatever we resolve. We cannot go on a national TV and say, we passed this and these bills, we passed this and these motions, we did A, B, C, D. So what about implementation? What did you implement?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you know certain things need honesty. And when we are in the House of Representatives like this one, we need to talk with honesty. Right Honorable Speaker, what I thought the Prime Minister would tell us today is that this has been done, this has not yet been done, and this is in process. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, it is not the crime of the Prime Minister maybe to have not yet implemented some. Maybe it was that the budget. So let the Prime Minister just be clear to this House and tell us that honestly this has been done, this has not yet been done, and then this will be done on this date, and then we shall move, honestly we shall move forward as the House if we are honest to each other, because this country belongs to all of us. So that was my view, Right Honorable Speaker.
Fox, there's a...
I thank you very much. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Fox is online. Fox
I think the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Prime Minister has been very honest. And she has said government is consolidating the report and she will come back here. Yes, she hasn't said that she's unable to report. She has said she's finalizing the report and she will bring it here in Parliament. So
Honorable members.
Nobody should impute that she's not honest enough
Flavia,
in this House.
sit.
Yes.
I thank you, Right Honorable. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday this week, you communicated to the House that you would reserve today for action taken reports. The executive was represented in the House. This communication got to them. The order paper as issued by Parliament indicates this matter as a substantive item. Right Honorable Speaker, I have had the benefit of reading Rule 20.
All the Fox, just a correction.
Yes.
On Thursday last week, this issue was raised by Honorable Ogwal Goli, and I assured him that the next Thursday we will reserve it for action taken reports. It was actually communicated last Thursday, not yesterday.
I thank you very much for the correction. Right Honorable Speaker, the terms of Rule 220, a minister shall, and shall in this case is mandatory, submit to Parliament an action taken report detailing what actions have been taken by the relevant ministry following the resolutions or recommendations of Parliament. This is a duty incumbent on every minister in this House. Right Honorable Speaker,
But shouldn't we?
Are we proceeding correctly to allow a long debate on whether or not they should perform their duty?
Honorable members, our first session, the first session ended on 24th May. Today is 17th November, and you've been debating every day. You've been talking in this house every day. You've made resolutions in this house every day. You can't tell me all that time you're not ready up to today. Honorable members, can we hear from the Prime Minister how much time she needs to bring to
Right Honorable Speaker and dear colleagues, you know that all of us, especially us in government, have a principle, and that is the president, where we subscribe. So yesterday I handed over the report, and the president is going to go through this report. This report has got some gaps, and we need money, like Honorable Katumba said. And we are saying, Madam, give us 2 weeks. We sit as government, and no, colleagues, because the member here said, you want to see, we have done this. We have reached here. We still need this. So when I come here to ask for only 2 weeks, is that too much?
Order. Order.
Dorcas, then there's a motion here.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank colleagues. Before that motion comes, it's not yet even time for question to the Prime Minister, but it's prompting me to ask. I think when we need status of implementation, we are not only asking for what has been completed. There could be some of the activities which are still ongoing, and there is no harm in them, or the government, or the team, the ministers, coming to share status of implementation. What is completed, what is in progress, and what is not yet touched. That is not asking for too much. I thank you.
Thank you, Right
That doesn't require the President.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, you gave me space to move a motion. And I'm moving under Article 57A. Rule 57A. Right Honorable Speaker, with due respect to the Prime Minister and the front bench, May 2021, May 2022, a full year, we raise issues here. Everybody gets up to raise issues. And a full year, nothing is taken. And the Prime Minister is saying yesterday, she wrote to the President. Right Honorable Speaker, I move a motion under Rule 57A that the House is adjourned until an action report is issued for further business. Otherwise, we can't continue coming every day to raise issues, to get resolutions, and we are promised when nothing can be done. Until we get action report for whatever has been raised, we can't sit again, Right Honorable Speaker. I move a motion, Right Honorable.
Honorable members, can you all sit? All of you sit. Members, honorable members, we come to this house. We've always said this is a people-centered parliament. We come and debate in this house for the good of our people. And even if you go to class or to school, you can only be evaluated by your performance. Now, how shall we be evaluated? What have we done? Have we been marked anywhere? How is our performance? We can only get our performance by getting an action that has been taken. When we come here as representatives of the people. We are not saying as a government, you should do this, because we know the constraint we have. We are saying as a government, if we tell you there is this problem, have you fixed it? If it is not fixed, come and report it to us. The challenge we have is A, B, C, D. I like how truthful Attorney General is. Whether it hurts anybody, he will come and report. And we must applaud him for that, really. He said he will come and report whether you like it or not. But what we are saying, we want individual ministries to come and report it to us and tell us. For instance, I see my good friend, Honorable Ravirama. He would only come and report to us that what we talked about, foot and mouth disease, this is what we have done. What we talked about, this is what we have. That is all we need as a house. We have reports that have been made by every sectoral committee. Honorable members, we need action reports. We need action reports ministry by ministry. We need action reports ministry by ministry, whether you've done, and that's why we push health. We are always pushing health to give us reports on Ebola, on COVID, on what, and they come and give reports. Now consolidate all the committee reports that you've got, come and report to the House. Whether it takes a whole week, every ministry will report. There was a report on rice by Mpaka up to today. Leave alone. You leave Penetti. There are things that affect you individually. The Soroti Fruit Factory, nothing. The Trade Committee has done us proud in this parliament. Honorable members, since you want to be a people-centered parliament, you need to be seen to perform. We need also to put our ministers to check. We need to help the president of Uganda. We need action reports in this house. And we need the action reports on Tuesday. We will have action reports ministry by ministry. I am adjourning a house waiting for action reports.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.